Straight ahead on IU NewsNet, a late response from IU's president to a Senate bill that could have a profound effect on higher education here at IU. We'll tell you what you need to know.
And are you hoping to park near Kirkwood or the media school? Good luck. We'll take a look at Bloomington's new parking restrictions and what's behind the all construction and restrictions.
And with the Super Bowl approaching, college students are using gambling more than usual. We'll look at the adrenaline rush of online betting and when it becomes a problem. IU NewsNet starts now. Welcome to IU NewsNet. I'm Ari Betterly.
And I'm Caroline Geib. One of the most controversial sessions of the Indiana legislature in years is hitting a nerve in Bloomington.
And has prompted a response from IU's president, Pamela Whitten. Several of the bills under consideration could affect education as we know it. IU NewsNet's Emma Herway joined us in studio to tell us how. Emma?
Thanks, guys. To start us off, Indiana Senate Bill 202 would affect multiple groups here on campus, including our Board of Trustees and our tenured professors. The main focus of the bill centers on the duties of diversity committees at state-funded educational institutions. It outlines requirements for institutions concerning, quote, free inquiry, free expression, and intellectual diversity, end quote. Buried deep in the bill is a provision that would replace 2 of IU's 3 alumni elected trustees with political appointees, potentially taking away the voices of IU graduates.
I think the only way to interpret that is that it's an effort to increase the potential for political meddling. That, in other words, very conservative Republican legislators want eyes and ears and voices on the Board of Trustees.
The bill would also implement regular reviews of tenured faculty to determine whether they meet this certain criteria related to diversity. The bill also includes the ability of students or others to submit complaints if faculty members aren't meeting certain criteria. Late yesterday, IU President Pamela Whitten released a statement expressing concern that this bill puts academic freedom at risk and damages IU's ability to attract world-class faculty. Whitten says that, as crafted, the bill, quote, risks unintended consequences that not just threaten the stature of Indiana University, but the economic and cultural vitality of the state. Continuing on the topic of diversity, Indiana Senate Bill SB 191 involves freedom of expression at state educational institutions. This bill would restrict a student or employee on expressing their viewpoints or refusing to support one or more, quote, diversive concepts. And an institutional also could not conduct mandatory training that includes certain concepts, including some that fall under diversity training. A student or employee would also be restricted on exhibiting bias against or favoritism toward certain individuals or groups. Another Indiana Senate Bill, SB 50, would allow Indiana public and charter schools to hire a chaplain. This is raising questions regarding the separation of church and state when it comes to religious freedom. The chaplains would be there to give advice and guidance to students and would only provide religious support with student or parent permission. Under the bill, the chaplains would have to hold a master's degree in divinity, theology, religious studies, or a related field and have at least 2 years of counseling experience. The ACLU of Indiana opposed the bill in a statement saying that this could, quote, create an environment ripe for religious coercion and indoctrination of students, end quote. These were 3 of hundreds of bills in session right now at the State House, but ones that could have a real effect on us here on campus. Guys, back to you at the desk.
The ACLU isn't the only organization concerned about indoctrination in schools. Now there's a government dashboard to allow the public to report anything they find objectionable in any public school. Attorney General Todd Rokita launched what he calls his Eyes on Education portal this week, and the pushback is already widespread. The online dashboard is designed to allow anyone to report so-called inappropriate material in grade schools, high schools, and public universities. The public list currently includes items related to the Black Lives Matter movement, school diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, and a gender support plan. Critics say the portal seems to have more issues than solutions at this point. Among these issues, concerns over defamation, outdated reports, and a lack of vetting before these complaints are being made public. Critics say this is a rogue move by the Attorney General and one way outside of his authority.
I see that this website is nothing more than an attempt by the Attorney General to solicit complaints and to solicit controversy and unhappiness among parents and educators all across the state. It has no meaningful purpose other than that.
Some are worried that this portal will create distrust between parents, educators, and students. Now our eyes turn to the ongoing battle between the graduate workers and IU's administration over the attempt to form a union. On Monday, the Indiana Graduate Workers Coalition pushed a vote of no confidence for IU President Pamela Whitten. The vote comes after the president failed to respond to a letter demanding a union election and living wage, according to the IGWC. Without proper demands being met, a strike may be imminent again. It happened 2.5 years ago.
But at the end of the day, if things are moving in that direction, it's up to the administration whether they respond to us, whether they give us sort of any official elected governing body, or whether they just remain silent.
The IGWC struck in spring of 2021 for a union election and living wage. As of now, they are still not recognized as a union.
Have you noticed it is getting tougher to find a parking spot anywhere near the Sample Gates or Franklin Hall? A major project to reduce street flooding is causing a flood of complaints about parking supply and demand. IU NewsNet's Sarah Molina has the story.
The city says this is what progress looks like, but many media school students only see it as a struggle.
All of us are trying to do stuff downtown and in this area, just get to class. There's just nowhere to park. It sucks.
Now until August, drivers can't get past here, but the gates behind me had cars flooding into the parking lot every day just a week ago. The parking lot wasn't the only thing that flooded. Every time it rained, so did downtown Bloomington, which is why this closure is happening, to allow construction for better drainage. With half of the lot behind Noodles & Company closed till the end of the summer, students say it's made already limited parking even more limited.
Right here, right on campus, you have to pay hundreds of dollars for just a spot, and then with the metered parking, there isn't enough.
More than 23 employee parking spots have been closed, but a temporary EPS lot has been opened at the corner of 6th and Dunn to compensate. Indiana Avenue will also close in May, spanning from Kirkwood past the Sample Gates all the way down to 6th Street. To find out more on parking restrictions, go to parking.indiana.edu. For IU NewsNet, I'm Sarah Molina.
As if parking difficulties weren't enough, road closures have begun on Indiana 46 for the now foreseeable future. Our Kelsey Dennehy is on site for the most recent closure. Kelsey?
Thanks, guys. I am here on the corner of 46 and Smith Road, where the right-hand turn lane has been closed by Milestone Contractors since Monday. This lane is being closed specifically for traffic signal improvements. This is in conjunction with a longer improvement project for sidewalks and turn lanes in that area. While these efforts aim to reduce traffic and increase safety, detours in the area will be present for around 3 months.
The lane is closed, but motorists still can make that right turn from the center lane of westbound State Road 46 on to Smith Road, sorry. And then in the future, when there are additional closures in that area, there will be a posted detour for motorists to get around that area.
As for this specific right-hand turn lane, it was anticipated that it would be closed for 2 weeks, but actually will reopen this upcoming Friday. I'm Kelsey Dennehy, back to you guys at the desk.
When we come back, we'll have news you can use if you ride the bus very often. One app is out and the other one is in. We'll tell you what you need to know.
Plus, the IU Cinema honors a trailblazer, photos and films from one of the first openly gay filmmakers in America. We'll have his connection to IU. All still ahead on IU NewsNet. Welcome back to IU NewsNet. It's Black History Month, and the Neil Marshall Center kicked off February with an event they call Black in the Day.
Elders in the African American community are sharing childhood artifacts and highlighting the significance of storytelling in the Black community. The Neil Marshall Center also partnered with IU's Black Film and Archive Center to showcase Black cinema. Bloomington community members brought items ranging from cotton sacks to baseballs and with their own significant memory or story attached. Many of the community members spoke of the importance of the persevering items passed down from their parents and grandparents. They say sharing them keeps the history alive.
In order for us to move forward into the future, we need to go and understand the past. We need to recognize the past. We need to give honor and acknowledge those who paved the way for the future.
The Neil Marshall Center will have more events for Black History Month throughout February. Those are not the only interesting artifacts on display on campus right now. The IU Cinema is honoring remarkable work of one of the first openly gay filmmakers in the country. IU NewsNet's Isabel Hook joins us with the story. Isabel?
If you're familiar with IU history, you might know the name Alfred Kinsey, but you may not know his friend Kenneth Anger. IU Cinema is hosting an exhibit to change that.
My favorite part of the exhibit is a photograph that is behind me. It's this one right here.
Here behind the glass is a photo of Kenneth Anger. Anger was best known as a filmmaker and was friends and worked with Alfred Kinsey for decades. While he might have died last year at 96, his memory lives on with the artifacts he left.
For people from all walks of life who were interested in sexuality as part of the sort of content of their work, how these people have existed together and often found community with one another, I think is a really important story to tell.
Some of Anger's films were on the topic of homosexuality. Anger started making films at 10 years old, and his first major film was in 1947. He worked on 40 films throughout his life and was known for pushing boundaries during his time.
But being able to use Anger's work as a template for other up-and-coming filmmakers, as well as different types of visual artists and culture creators.
The artifacts also focus on the censorship of Anger's own work, as well as film censorship in the United States and other countries.
While the exhibit is being held at IU Cinema, it didn't receive all its artifacts from there. Some of the artifacts are from here at the Kinsey Institute, which include letters between Kinsey and Anger.
While the exhibit is there to honor the life of Anger, that's not the only takeaway the curators want you to leave with.
We really hope that we can encourage artists who have different viewpoints, who have new stories, who have different things to say, not to censor themselves.
IU Cinema is also offering screening of Anger's movies and works. The exhibit is on display until the end of the semester.
Plans to relocate the Bloomington Police Station are on hold after the Bloomington Redevelopment Commission rejected all the bids for the new proposed site. The previous administration had planned to move the fire and police headquarters to be all under the same roof at the Shower West building. However, since taking office, Bloomington's new mayor, Carrie Thompson, and her team have reviewed Bloomington's finances and ongoing projects. She says the city does not have the funding to follow through with the initial scope of the project, rebuilding 2 fire stations and adding a new police station with the Shower West. So, her team has a new approach. They're going to the pivot and solely focus on the fire administration plans. Mayor Thompson addressed the issue in a video she released.
I want to reassure you that we will be moving forward with the 2 fire stations, the Fire Logistics Center, and we anticipate that the fire administration will be relocated to the already vacated space within Showers West. We will still have to address the police headquarters as a separate matter.
Additionally, the police union opposed the initial proposal to move the station. Mayor Thompson says she will keep Bloomington updated with her team's futures plans.
Beta Sigma Psi has been placed on cease and desist effective February 5th. The fraternity was originally disciplined for sexual harassment, physical abuse, and forced consumption of substances. However, these were changed to only include hazing. This is in addition to their previous probation status for dishonest conduct, hazing, and harassment in January. If you have been counting, this makes them one of 5 chapters tagged with a cease and desist status just this school year. We will keep you updated with any further changes.
Speaking of changes, the city of Bloomington has adopted a new bus tracking app called Spot, leaving behind double maps. The new app launched in January 22nd, but not everybody is happy about it. Bloomington residents say the city did not clearly communicate the app switch, so it came to many as a surprise. Plenty of students rely on public transportation. They say Spot's layout is more difficult to read than double maps, causing them to miss their buses to class and to work.
It's important that you know pretty accurately like when the bus is going to come, when you need to leave your apartment, and I feel like I had that all planned out in my head with the other app, and I felt like it was pretty accurate, and now I'm having to like readjust all of that.
While students and residents adjust to this new app, the desktop version can be found on Bloomington Transit's website.
Starting next week, it may take you longer to log in on campus. Duo Mobile is adding another step to increase cybersecurity. Since August of 22, students and faculty at IU only had to verify their identity on Duo Mobile once every 7 days. However, starting next Tuesday, IU and Duo Mobile upgraded their security system so that users will have to verify daily. Users will also have to type in a 3-digit code for every login attempt to make sure that their information is secure. IU men's basketball has a little life left in it after all. Coming up, a look at what happened at Ohio State and a look ahead to the IU women's game.
And Team 51 is ready for liftoff. We'll preview Indiana softball's start to its 2024 campaign. IU NewsNet Sports coming up next. It was an exciting week for the IU athletics with plenty of ups and downs.
Zeke Shapiro now joins us. Zeke, the IU men are coming off of a rarity, a very good night on the court.
Anthony Leal continues to be the most clutch player on this IU basketball team. Even if he doesn't score that many points, it's more about when he scores them. For the men's basketball team, their March Madness chances are still on life support. But after dropping 4 of their last 5 matchups, they put 1 in the win column. Our Audrey Marr went to Columbus and brings back the story. Audrey?
Yeah, thanks, Zeke. I am back in Bloomington here outside of Simon Scott Assembly Hall following Indiana's 76-73 upset on the road against the Ohio State Buckeyes. And it was a game of halves where the second had clearly shined, but the first, not so much. Heading into the locker room at halftime, down by 13, Indiana had dug itself into a deep hole with little to no motivation remaining. But then came the emergence of Malik Renew and Trey Galloway, who combined for 35 of the Hoosiers' 47 second half points, and one hometown hero with just 22 seconds left in the game to give Indiana a 1-point lead.
Doesn't matter who makes the shot. You know, he had a wide open shot, he took it, and he delivered for us, and that's what basketball is all about.
Anthony Leal continues to serve as a key leader and contributor for this young Hoosier team down the stretch. And coming off of one of its biggest wins of the season so far, Indiana will next look to continue its hot streak as they'll be heading over to Mackey Arena to face in-state rivals Purdue on Saturday. Back to you in the studio, Zeke.
The IU women did not do as well in their matchup with the Buckeyes. With Sydney Parrish still sidelined with a foot issue, the team had trouble finding their rhythm. It was a seesaw affair with IU scoring just 11 points in the first quarter, but then followed up with a 26-point explosion in the second. Despite a valiant comeback attempt which saw the Hoosiers get within just 3 points, the Buckeyes held on. The Hoosiers had a season-high 23 turnovers, which led to 21 points on the other end. IU will hit the hardwood again tonight as they take on Michigan State before a big in-state matchup with Purdue on Saturday. There's a big game this weekend in Sin City, and football fans everywhere will be tuned in. But the Super Bowl brings more than just football and wings to college campuses. Our Austin Platt joins us in studio with that story. Austin?
Thanks, Zeke. With Super Bowl Sunday just a few days away, some folks are preparing for Super Bowl parties, while others are hoping to widen their wallets through sports betting. But it doesn't always work out that way.
Food, football, and a frenzy on sports betting apps, like FanDuel. Even here on campus, lots of people want in on the Super Bowl action, and it's as close as their phones.
I'll be placing some bets for the Super Bowl. I think I'm going to take some free money from one app, put it on the Niners, free money from another app, put it on the Chiefs, so it'll be a payday no matter what.
More than $23 billion wagered, up 50% from the last Super Bowl. A record number 68 million adults are expected to be making bets on the big game. That's about 25% of the country's population.
Well, it's the largest gambling day of the year for the vast majority of people in the United States. The thing is, you get people who will gamble on every aspect of the Super Bowl because it's such a visible event.
Sports betting is clearly up, and so are the number of things you can bet on. Obviously bet on anything that relates to what's going on in the field, but there's also plenty of stuff that doesn't relate to the Chiefs or the 49ers. Take, for example, the national anthem sung by Reba McEntire this year. Is it going to be over or under 90 seconds? You can bet on that. The coin toss. Every year, is it going to be heads or is it going to be tails? Well, you can bet on that. And last of all, arguably my personal favorite, what will the color be of the Gatorade bath that is dumped on the winning head coach? Will it be red, pink, or another color, like this clear Gatorade? You can bet on all of that. IU Media School student Noel Ferry is placing some bets by staying true to the axiom, don't bet more than you can afford to lose.
The fact that like ESPN has their own sports betting app, that's like the apocalypse. Like this is the end of everything. I just think that it's so terrible how much it's being pushed to, the public because of how addictive it is, how many lives it can ruin.
The Super Bowl entertainment value is only increasing, just like the amount of money that's being gambled. Zeke, back to you.
The Bats are back in action as Indiana softball is set to begin their 51st season this weekend. Last season brought unprecedented success for the team as they made the NCAA National Tournament for the first time since 2011. But don't be confused. This year, they think of themselves as anything but underdogs. They returned 13 players from last season, including All-Americans Brianna Copeland and Taylor Minnick, while adding 6 newcomers to the roster. Every Hoosier is hungry for more.
But I think all eyes are forward. I think last year just gives you a strong foundation to know what you're capable of, right? Confidence is past success and preparation. And so we're preparing them. We have a great game plan, and now they've had some past success. And I think that makes for a great combination when you have the goods, and we got the goods.
Indiana's first game is tonight against the 16th-ranked Oregon Ducks. Indiana Swim and Dive battled against Wisconsin and Louisville this past Friday in their last meet before the Big Ten Championship. Both men's and women's teams came in first place, beating Wisconsin by over 100 points and Louisville by over 60. There was no shortage of energy in the stands and on deck, with several Olympic alumni cheering them on. Among them was Cody Miller, who's been training this year in preparation for the Olympics. The Hoosiers will next compete in the Big Ten Championship later this month. That's all for IU sports this week. And women's softball, once again, starts tonight. Big Purdue matches for the basketball teams. Very excited.
I know, fingers crossed for the women's team tonight. And one more thing before we go. Some famous names are coming to Bloomington to help usher in the big solar eclipse into this April. Since Bloomington is right in the path of total darkness, this calls for a cosmic celebration. Grammy Award nominated Janelle Monáe will take the stage at Memorial Stadium following the total eclipse. Star William Shatner and NASA's first woman of color astronaut, Dr. Mae Jemison, will speak to the university. This cosmic performance will be out of this world. And that's all for IU's NewsNet. We have behind-the-scenes student production team in the control room working the students for this broadcast. We thank them, and we thank you for watching. I'm Ari Betterly.
And I'm Caroline Geib. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at IU NewsNet. Take care, and we'll see you next week.